Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. Now in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you two ways to make a free QR code that doesn't expire. So we're going to use Canva and we're going to be using QR Code Monkey. So I've made two different QR codes. And we're going to do one with Print Then Cut. Ignore the bad cut. I just did this on copy paper. And we'll also do one on some vinyl. Now these are great because you could really put this on anything that you want to. And you could also use HTV for this as well. These are perfect to direct people to your website, different pay apps, all sorts of great things that you can use with this. So definitely a very versatile product. And I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to learning how to weed this the correct way. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to show you two different ways to make these QR codes, one with Canva and one with a website called QR Code Monkey. The great thing is with both of these, they never expire. So you're not going to worry about your QR code stopping working, anything like that. So the first thing that I like to do, I just use the Instagram square post. It's a perfect size for what we want to do. We're not doing anything too crazy in this. And you're going to scroll over here on to the side, and you'll find QR code. Now, if for some reason that's not there, you can go under the apps here and search for it, and you can just search for QR code, and it will bring up a QR code generator option, which is this one. This is the one that I find works best, but there's lots to choose from, but that one is the one I find that works best. So QR code, and then you're going to put whatever website or thing you want it to go to. So I'm going to go to my website, and if I could type, we'd be doing even better. So there we go. We'll have it go to my website. Now what's cool is you can customize this with all sorts of things, but I want to show you that you can cut this both on like vinyl or HTV, which is a little bit harder, but it can be done. Or you can always just use Print Then Cut for this as well, which is going to give you a more reliable option for a QR code, but we'll do both so that you can see them. So if you just want to cut it, keep everything the same. But if you want to do Print Then Cut, you can absolutely like change this stuff up and make them completely different colors. Whatever you want to do with it is fine. Now I'll generate the code in these two colors just so you can see what it looks like. Now, will this scan? I'm not sure. Hard to say. Some of them do, some of them don't. That one does scan. I just checked it with my phone. But if I want to just change them back, I just want a white background and I want to do the black foreground color, which the foreground is your actual code. Just click Update Code. You can change those colors in anything you want, and I would just recommend testing it with your phone. Now I'm going to go ahead and expand that so that it takes up the whole design. Now simply all I need to do from this is click Share, and I want to go to Download, and I'm going to use the just regular old PNG download. Now if you are a pro member, you can absolutely do this with a transparent background, meaning you won't have to remove anything when you go over to Cricut Design Space if you're going to cut this with vinyl or HTV. But if you're just going to use it as a Print Then Cut, you can just save it simply as a PNG. I'm going to go ahead and click download, and I'll save this into my folder. I'm going to create a folder for this, and I'm just going to right click, click new here and folder, and I'm just going to call it QR code, and I'll put it in here. Now I'm going to call this one Canva. That way I know where it came from because they're going to look really similar. So you're going to need to name it so that we know which one it came from. So once I've done that, I can take it over to Design Space. But first, I want to show you how to do it in QR Code Monkey, because what's great about this one is it's completely free as well. It never expires. It's got commercial use license, all the things that you need in order to do this. So what I'm going to do here, you've got a couple of options that you can choose from. So right here, you can enter your content. You can see you can kind of like collapse and show off what it is. And what I'm going to do is put my URL in. I can talk. I'm just going to, again, make it go to my website, and you can use this statistics and editability if you have QR Code Monkey Pro. So just keep that in mind. There are options with Pro, but you can do this totally free. You have a set colors option, which again, you can really make it whatever you want. But again, because we're going to be using this as a option to go with HTV or vinyl or print, we're going to just leave it as is. Now, what's really cool about them is you can add different logos. So if this was going to go to my YouTube channel, I could add the YouTube channel logo to that and it would like show it off, which is really cool. But if you just want to use it as, you know, nothing, you can just remove the logo. You don't have to have a logo, but that's one thing that's really cool about this one. And then you can customize your design with this one. So you can have different shapes for your QR code. You can have different like shapes around the frames, and you can also do the different shapes for the eyeballs. So the frames, and then these are the eyeballs. I'm going to leave everything again very standard because again, we want to be able to cut this really easily. So just keep that in mind. Now I am going to put this up to high quality and I want to download the PNG for this, but you see you have other options here too. I do need to create my QR code before I can do anything else. So you're just going to click create QR code. It'll go ahead and figure out what it's doing. And now you'll see that you have your code. Now I, again, always like to just double check that it's going to scan, and it does. All I do is I just hold my phone up to the screen. Now, again, we can for sure download these in the different formats, but again, I want to keep everything fairly similar. So I'm going to download this with the PNG. Now it's going to, of course, give you an ad because why not? They're trying to sell you their service since they're offering you a free QR code. Now it might take a minute to generate, and I'm going to call this one QR code monkey. So that way we know where that one is from, and I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now for this, we can head back over to Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to show you how to upload these so you can use them to either print them or cut them. I'm going to start here with this blank canvas, and all we simply need to do is upload the images. So I'm going to click upload, and I'm going to choose upload image, and then I'm going to click browse. Now I'm going to, of course, need to browse for that design, and I'm going to use the Canva one here first. Now again, this is a PNG without a transparent background. So I'll show you how to do this if you wanted to cut this with vinyl or with HTV. You're going to need to remove the background, and to do that, you're going to use the select tool. I don't like to use the automatic background remover ever. It doesn't work very well, and you need to be really careful with a QR code because if it's not removed correctly, it can cause it to not work. So there's one reason that I really like to download these with the transparent backgrounds, but I wanted to show you how to do this for free. So I'm going to click on the main piece of the background. And then what I'm going to do is click on the other larger sections here, and you can see the background is going away. But you need to make sure that you are clicking every single square that has a black surrounding it. So it's basically like an island in the black. There are a lot of them in this QR code, and you're going to need to make sure that you go through and get every single spot. If you miss one, your QR code will not work. So what I like to do is I sort of just go in a grid pattern best I can, and I just sort of go around and try to make sure I get every part that looks like it is an island. Now, if you click somewhere and it's already got a background removed from it, don't worry, it's not going to cause any issues. But you want to make sure that you're not clicking anything that is black. Now, what I want you to do before you go any further is you're going to use this preview single layer. And you're going to want to watch this and do this a couple of times where I kind of pick a little section. So right now I'm looking at this section, and I want to watch this section to make sure that that section looks the same when I preview it and when I don't. So now I'm going to check this section right here, and I'm just going to do the same thing, making sure all the boxes are the same. And I just go through and do that for each section of the design, just making sure that all of the boxes are removed. Now, what's cool is you can use preview the single layer, and again, check it with your phone to make sure that it still works. And that's another way to really make sure you got rid of all of the boxes. Once I've checked that and it's good, I'm going to click apply and continue. Now, because we're going to cut this, we're going to use the single layer option and click continue again. And then you can name this whatever you want. I'm going to call this Canva QR code website. That way I kind of know where it goes. And I'm going to click upload. Now this is going to put it directly into my design space, and I'm going to go ahead and just hide that. Now we want to upload the other one, but I'm going to make this one smaller really quick, and I'm going to just change its color just in case they look too similar. It doesn't matter what color I make this because this is going to be the one we cut on vinyl. Now I want to upload the other one, and I'm going to click upload image, and again, browse for it. I'm going to select the QR code monkey one. Now for this one, I'm going to do print then cut, but again, it's really basically the same concept. But with this one, we don't need to remove any of the background. It's really easy to do Print Then Cut. And with Print Then Cut, you know that you're going to get a perfect QR code every time. You're not going to have to worry about weeding it or anything like that. Now what I'm going to do is click apply and continue. And for this one, I want to save it here as flat graphic because that's what you use for Print Then Cut. Now I know with the white background, it doesn't look like it's going to do a whole lot, but that white background is really important because that's going to help us be able to cut this easier because you need to have a solid background against a QR code, especially if you're doing Print Then Cut, because otherwise it will cut out every single little square and you'd have to try to figure out how to keep that all in check. Now I'm going to go ahead and print this out a little bit smaller, and I'll print this one just on some like copy paper just to show you how to do it, because why waste materials? And then we're going to cut this one on some vinyl so that you can see. But what I find really interesting about QR codes is how different they look. I think it's really interesting that they'll both take you to the exact same spot, but they're really different looking. Now, one thing I will recommend is that I'm going to print this one out, right? But I'm going to have to weed this one. So when I'm going to weed this, I'm going to want to keep this design up on the screen. But another quick trick that you can use is you can always duplicate this and make one of them a print option. And you can go ahead and print this one too. That way you can see it. But I think I'll be fine just looking at it on the screen. You can also just simply take a picture of it with your phone as well. And you can have your phone out while you're weeding. And that way you can easily see what you're doing. Now, before I do anything else, I am going to save this project just so I don't mess up anything. So I'm just going to save it as QR code and click save. Now we can make these any size that we want. Like this is a little bit small for probably what I would put this on. I think I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Plus weeding is going to be a little easier the bigger you make it. But I'm thinking about putting this on like a little square shadow box. And that square shadow box is it's a 9x9, from Michaels. So if I want to do like a 9x9 shadow box, I just want to make this a little bit smaller than that size. Now what's fun about this is you can add text to this too. So if I want to say visit my site, you can really put whatever you want here, of course, but I'm going to do visit my site. And then I'm just going to change the text to a different font, whatever I want it to be. It can be anything that I want. Now I'll change the color to match just because I think it'll look nicer. And then for this, I do prefer to go down to combine and I do weld my text just so that I can kind of get a better visual of what it's going to look like. I'm going to select the entire design. And for this one, I'm going to align it. And then I'm going to center it right here horizontally because I want that wording there. Now, the problem is it is a little bit too big for our box with the text on it. So we will need to size it down so that it'll fit on our little box. But that's perfect. That will work. Now, before I do anything else, again, just save it. Make sure that everything is saved before you hit make. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the make screen. Now, what you're going to see here is we've got our Print Then Cut one, which is going to be this little square. And like I said, I'm just going to print this on copy paper because it doesn't really matter. I'm just showing you how to do it. I would recommend if you're going to like put it on something, sticker paper is a great option. You could also print it on like a heavy cardstock if you want to make it for like a table or something. You could use printable HTV. There are lots of ways that you can make a Print Then Cut option on this, but for me, we'll just do it on copy paper. So what I'll do is I'll hit continue and I'm going to click send to printer. Now what it's doing is it's just going to tell us that our sensor marks are going to be added to our design, just so you know what you're going to be looking at when it prints out. Go ahead and click next. And this is where we're going to set some settings so that we make sure that our QR code comes out looking really good. Now this has white around it, so adding bleed doesn't really do anything. Bleed is for if you have ink color, you have like a color on the very edge of your design and it pushes the ink out just a little bit so that if the Cricut cuts a little off center, it doesn't show any white edging. We can leave it on because it doesn't make a difference. I do want to turn on my system dialog because I do like to change some settings. And especially if you're printing on like sticker paper or cardstock, you'll want to use some settings to make sure you're getting a good quality print. Now it should open your printer preferences, and if you don't see the same preferences or you have way less than I have, go to your printer manufacturer's website and I want you to go and search for your printer drivers and reinstall them. That will fix your problem. Now what we'll do is we'll click preferences. I always just double check document size and orientation. Now for this one, it is just plain paper, but you can change your settings here, but I'll leave it as plain paper bright white, but I'll change my quality from standard to high. And then I want to go under more options and I'm going to turn off this high speed print. What that's going to do is it's going to keep any of those like weird lines or anything from getting into my print. Now from here, I can simply just click print, then we'll take it to the machine, we'll cut this one out, and then we'll also cut out the one in vinyl. We're first going to cut out that print then cut QR code that we made. Now again, I used copy paper. I would recommend that you use something a little heavier, but this will work for the tutorial. Now what it'll do is it's going to read all of our registration marks, which are those 4 marks down at the bottom. Then it'll cut around the square. It won't cut individual pieces, and then that's basically it. Listen, we're not going to talk about this. This is sort of the bad part about using copy paper. It tends to rip. But like I said, I wasn't going down to get cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off the mat. I'll do it as best I can. It's probably not going to cut very well off the paper. It ripped a bit. You get the idea though, and that's really all that you need. So if you want to scan this on your phone and just see that it works, I'll hold it here for a second for you so you can check that out. Now what we'll do is we're going to cut the vinyl for this, and I'll show you how we weed that because sometimes that can be a little bit scary. Now, when I tell you that the making of it and the cutting of it is the easy part, I'm not lying, because weeding this can be a little crazy. So what I always recommend is start from the outside and work your way in and have a picture of the QR code if you need to. But I just kind of start like up here in this upper corner. Now, you won't always have words. I just added the words because why not? But you won't always have these to kind of contend with. So then all I do is I just very, very carefully weed away. And I want to make sure any small boxes are all kept in place. So you're just going to very carefully kind of weed away from all the boxes. Now there are inside pieces that we're going to have to remove. But as I'm going, I'm just making sure all the boxes that are on here are staying down. Now, if you get to a point like here where it's like a lot of vinyl, like I'm kind of stuck on my vinyl, you can just kind of rip it apart and get rid of like the big piece and then keep going. Now you'll have some spots where you might get stuck, so just sort of help yourself along. And you can see I kind of went from the outside and I'm kind of working my way around. The next part that I'm going to do is going to be these big squares on the edges, because those are really easy to tell what needs to be removed. And I'm actually going to get this section too, because this section's really easy to see what needs removed because it'll all just come off. But it's really helpful to have that extra little picture, which I'm going to go get because I don't have it on my phone. So I'm going to go take that picture and I'm going to lay it down next to here so I can see what needs weeded. So now I have a picture that I just took of the screen, and now I'm able to see that like this little square needs to come out. And then I just kind of work my way down and I can see what squares need to be removed. So I can see like these 2 squares and this one, and then this square and this square. Then I need to get out this long rectangle, and then I need to remove this square and this one. So I'm going to go ahead and just weed all of this out, and then when we are done here, I'll show you how this works. I'm going to scan this with my phone, so I'm going to use my camera. I'm going to hold my camera above, and then you'll see, I don't know how well you guys can see it, I'll try to zoom in, but it's going to offer to take me to my website. My internet's a little bit slow down here, so ignore the fact that it's taking a second, but there we go. We're right there on our website. I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. Oh my goodness, so many things. And here I am on my website. Just as easy as that. So you can see making a QR code is so dang simple. There are a couple of ways that you can make them, whether you use Print Then Cut or weed it with vinyl or HTV. Just remember that it needs to lay pretty flat in order for somebody to scan it. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure you subscribe here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any fun, crafty content we have coming. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.